Hi foodies, I'm going to show you real quick how to make something when you don't know what you're craving. So I'm kind of craving a chickpea tuna bow salad. I'm kind of craving a tzatziki. So maybe I'm going to make the mashed chickpea tuna, faux tuna, and the tzatziki all at the same time. And maybe I'll put it on my bread, one on top of the other. I'm not sure what I'm wanting today. So in order to get my chickpea mash going for my chickpea faux tuna, I just mash my chickpeas so that they're not completely hummus and smooth, but have the consistency of a mashed pea. And you're going to find some of them whole, some of them mashed, some of them smooth. So we're trying to make a combination here of what you would have done had you used tuna fish. You know, that tuna fish salad, if you guys like that tuna fish salad and you have a recipe and a secret ingredient, use it. Use it for your plant-based faux chickpea mash. So what I like in mine is dill to give it that little pickly flavor. You can also chop up some pickles and put it in here. I'm going to see if I have any. I know I have some spicy pickles that I made yesterday because we made some pickled jalapenos and pickled peppers, and I put some shallots in there, and I put some cucumbers in there. So I might pull out one of those cucumbers and put it in here just for a little pickle heat. But if you don't have pickles, then just use whatever you can to imitate that flavor. So I'm going to put a little bit of lime juice in here. You know, lime juice or any vitamin C enriched foods activate the iron in our beans. So you want to make sure that you're eating vitamin C rich foods with anything that is beans so that you get the iron absorption going. So one of the things that you need to be aware is that it doesn't need to be citrus. It doesn't need to be orange and lime. You don't need to do that every time. That's kind of my go-to because I love lime on everything, especially in my bean dishes and such. But what you want to do is just have vitamin C rich foods. Bell peppers are vitamin C rich foods. So anything that's going to have vitamin C enrichment in it is going to help with your iron absorption. Yesterday we did Rip's favorite, the Esselstyn family favorite, which is beans over rice, but we didn't have rice. So we did it over quinoa, and we made a big giant mound of our beans over quinoa, and we put a ton of veggies on top, non-starchy veggies. And I had already cut up some cucumbers and I had cut up some green onions. So I'm going to be using those in here. And I'm going to be cutting up some extras. So you guys know I love to do my herb cutting because if I can avoid the cutting board, I will. So I'm going to just cut up some tiny little slivers of minced onion. And it's going to be dual purpose here because I'm going to put some in my chickpea mash, but I'm also going to put some in my tzatziki. So for my tzatziki, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add everything that you would to a regular tzatziki, but I'm going to be using my soy yogurt. And I'm actually going to borrow a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half for my mash so that I can give it some consistency like we would a mayo. You can also use silken tofu. You could blend it with some already blended hummus, and then just add on the layers of your food. So we like our tzatziki with a lot of shallot. I love shallot. It's a sweeter onion. You guys know that I don't like onions, and everybody makes fun of me because I use shallots for everything, and everybody tells me, well, that's an onion. Yes, it is. Family, it's in the family of onions, but it's a lot sweeter, and to my head, I don't think it's an onion. So, and it's gonna make me cry. So I'm going to put some more in here, and then whatever I don't use, I'm going to go ahead and put in my little Tupperware, and I save them here. All right, so I've got a little bit of a mess with my hands, but that's okay. All right, so to put a little bit of crunch in with my chickpea mash, I'm going to add something that normally we wouldn't add to tuna salad, but I just am looking for a little bit of crunch in my tuna salad. Sometimes I like water chestnuts for crunch when I'm doing these salads like this, but I'm going to add some cabbage. It's not going to add any flavor to it, but it is going to give us that little hidden crunch that we're looking for. And now, so I've got this all mixed up, and now I'm going to flavor it. So I'm going to put some dill, and this is where, if you're not using sodium content in any of your spices, you can liberally spice it. So this is dill, and I have this salt-free Delicious. It's called Dilly Licious spice. It gives it that dill flavor of having cut up a dill pickle and put it in here, but without the sodium. I found this at Publix. It might be at other stores, or you might be able to find it online. So now we've got some onion powder, and I'm going to put some dried onion. You can put some dried onion if you don't have shallots, or you could do dried onions. I have two different kinds of dried onion. And then I am going to do some celery seed, and I'm going to cut up a celery because we love our tuna fish with celery. So I'm going to cut up some celery, and I'm going to put it into my chickpea mash. So here we go. I'm going to make tiny little cuts so that they're kind of minced. You can make them as small as you would like. I like them kind of in there. And this can also be the crunch, but I also put the cabbage in there. This weekend we were in Miami, and we were at a Mediterranean restaurant that had a cabbage bowl, veggie bowl, filled with cruciferous veggies, and the main one was shaved cabbage. And I absolutely loved it because they shaved it super thin. And so I'm thinking I'm going to make a lemon, maybe honey or maple dressing that I can put on just cabbage. So here we go. Here's my celery. All right, so I've got my chickpea mash. I just need to incorporate this. Should have gotten a bigger bowl. I always end up adding so many non-starchy veggies because the more you add, the more balance you're going to have on your plate. So I already have the protein on here. I already have a bunch of cruciferous veggies and veggies, which are non-starchy, and we're probably going to serve this over some bread, Ezekiel bread. I'm going to try that. I'm going to add a little bit more Dilly Licious. And I'm going to incorporate that in. And if you like it creamier, then add moist soy yogurt in it. I don't like it so creamy, but some people do, so feel free. So here's my chickpea mash. And now I'm going to be doing my tzatziki. For my tzatziki, I have a bunch of shallots in here. And now I'm going to grab my cucumbers, and I'm going to do them very thinly sliced. And then I'm going to mince them, and I'm going to put them in my jar. And for that, I'm going to use Greek seasonings. I found some Greek seasonings in the market. I'm not going to tell you at the market. I'm not going to tell you what brands because I got them at a Middle Eastern store, and it did not have sodium in it. So that is what I'm going to be using. But there is one that is called Calendars. And they have a salt-free seasoning, and it's spelled Callender. They have a Greek seasoning that is salt-free that you can add, or you can find your own, or you can blend your own. Just mix some dill and some garlic and some onion and some basil and oregano, and you can put all those things into your tzatziki. Or if you already have a tzatziki recipe, do it the way that you are used to doing it. Just omit the too much sodium and the oil. So I've got my cucumbers going in here. Jay loves tzatziki, so we can put this on bread. We can use it as a dip. You can also make this with silken tofu, or you could do half and half silken tofu, half yogurt. So here we go. I'm gonna make it really chunky, and I might end up adding some garlic powder, and then I'm going to add some onion powder for extra flavor, and then I'm going to add the Greek seasoning that I told you guys that I found at the Middle Eastern store, and then I'm going to stir it. And I can also add a little bit of lemon to this if I want. I'm going to try this. I'm not going to double dip my spoon since I already got it dirty. All right, so it's got that lemony Greek seasoning taste. So we can use this to drizzle on top of our chickpea mash on top of an Ezekiel bread. So however you want to eat this, if you want to eat this over greens, you could do that. I'm going to add a little bit more of soy yogurt. I'm going to add just a little bit more of soy yogurt. This soy yogurt just came out of the Instant Pot, so it's still cooling down, but that's okay because I'm going to put everything in the fridge. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe this up so I don't put it in the fridge with any dirt whatsoever. And I'm going to mash this in, make it just a tad bit creamier. There we go. And then I have 2 Ezekiel breads in my air fryer. I'm going to heat them up, and I'm going to top my Ezekiel bread with this chickpea mash, and I might drizzle a little bit of the tzatziki on it. This is a protein-packed, nutrition-packed meal. Just make sure and get enough of your beans so that you have enough of the protein, at least half a cup to 3/4 of a cup or a cup. And then, like I said, you could eat this over spinach or kale or greens, or you can even do a shaved cabbage, like I was saying. Do a whole bed of shaved cabbage and put this on top. Drizzle some of the tzatziki on it, and you are done. Taste and go. You guys have to be the tasters to find out if the flavors are there for you. So let me taste this. I can taste the celery. I can taste all the spices, the dilly. I might actually take one of our little pickles and cut it up and put it in here. Let's see if I can find them. You can make your own pickles. This is half apple cider vinegar, half white distilled vinegar with a little bit of maple syrup. And then I have all these veggies in there. And I have green onion, I have shallot, I have the peppers, I have garlic. So these are going to be garlicky too. I'm going to put these in our chickpea mash, or you can do store-bought ones. They add so much sodium though to them that I don't like to use them. We like to make our own, and we have pepper bushes. So we have jalapeno pepper bushes and serrano pepper bushes and a bunch of others. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. It's probably going to have a little bit of heat, so our chickpea mash is going to have a little bit of heat. I'm going to take another one, and I could even put a little bit of this juice to give it the pickle juice like we would a tuna fish sandwich or a tuna fish mash. So there we go. And you guys, I'm weird. I don't like big butcher knives, and I don't like cutting boards, but I have one here today because I had a bunch of veggies to lay out. All right, so there we go. And I am going to put a little bit of the pickle juice in here. You can do that too and get that little flavor going. So all I have in here is my soy yogurt, my spices, my cabbage, my chickpeas, my celery. We have some shallots, and I'm making a mess, but there we go. We've got our chickpea mash, and we've got our tzatziki. So these two are going to be in the fridge. We can go to them whenever we want. I can spread hummus on an Ezekiel bread. I can use it as a dip. I can put it in a bowl with a bunch of veggies. I can put this over greens, or I can put this on bread. I can make a sandwich out of it. Whatever your little heart desires for this tzatziki and the chickpea mash. Hope you guys are having a happy day. Bye, foodies.